and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be taking you guys through my old Goodreads account. Well, not my old Goodreads account, but through years prior from my Goodreads account and showing you top 5 horror novels that I think you will like that you probably haven't heard of. So I just posted the thriller version of this. This was the last video that I posted. So if you have not seen that one yet, I'll have it linked somewhere in an iCard up above. But yeah, so basically what I did was I just went through my Goodreads account and I went through and found horror novels that I thought were good, that I rated at least a 3 or higher, and that had lower ratings of people talking about them or reading them on Goodreads. So I really wanted to find ones that you guys probably haven't heard of that I think that you will like. So now, that being said, some of them I read years ago and I don't even remember myself what they were about. So a lot of these I am planning to reread myself. But I'm going to start off with The Binding by Nicholas Wolfe. And on my old booktube channel, I did a thorough review of this, which is still up. So if you guys want to see an actual thorough review of this, you can head over to my other channel, my old booktube channel, to see a review on this one. But it says, terror has come to northern Massachusetts. Wow. Massachusetts. As a brutal slang on the local college campus shatters the tranquility of this once sleepy town. But for young psychiatrist Nat Thayer and his oldest friend, Detective John Bailey, there may be more connected to this shocking act of violence than anyone could have imagined. One of Northam's patriarchs has approached Nat with a desperate plea for help, convinced that something fearful has overtaken his beautiful daughter Becca. Even though Becca is alive, she truly believes the opposite, that she was also murdered 3 weeks earlier, which Nat diagnoses as Cotard delusion, an obscure condition sometimes described as walking corpse syndrome. And as the mystery deepens, Nat and John soon understand that sinister forces may have been resurrected from Northam's disturbing history, and that some malignant secrets were not meant to stay hidden forever. So basically, there is an evil force that's kind of like coming through this town. This girl is absolutely positive that she is no longer alive, that she did die with these other people. And she's positive that she is not herself, that there's something overtaking her. So he takes on this case and he's trying to convince her that she is fine, that this is just all a delusion. But then he starts to notice some things that start to make him second guess as well. So it is super creepy. If you love kind of like demonic stories, this definitely has an element of that into it. And I highly recommend this one. This is one that I absolutely loved, and this is probably one that I will reread. I do remember quite a bit of it because I really, really liked it, but it's definitely one that would be on my reread list because I liked it so much. And it's called Possessed by Kate Can, and it says, she thought it was an escape, but she might be trapped forever. Rain can't wait to get away from the stifling heat of summer of London, from her controlling older boyfriend Damien, from the tiny apartment she shares with her mother and little brother. So when she finds a job at a secluded country estate, Rain jumps at the chance to escape. But as soon as she arrives, her retreat feels like another prison. The ancient estate is suffocating, filled with spooky relics and a strange energy that seems to surround her everywhere she goes. Rain wants to believe it's all just her imagination, but as she spends more time in the country, she becomes more convinced that there's something out there, something that wants her to stay forever. So she works basically as a waitress at this estate. It's kind of like an old castle, and they've turned it into a tourist attraction, and there's a restaurant there, and she is a waitress at this estate. And she has this little cottage off to the side that she gets to kind of stay at, and it is super, super creepy. And every time that she goes in there, she just feels like there's something in there with her. And all she can do is once she gets home to that little cottage, she just like curls up on her bed and is just terrified and just is so scared and just falls asleep, hoping nothing's going to wake her up in the middle of the night. And then as she's at work, weird things start to happen in the castle, and she feels like this place is possessed by something and it's coming after her as well. So very, very creepy story. Definitely good for fans of horror. So this book is The Forbidden by F.R. Tallis, and I also have a book review of this up on my old channel. I have talked about this one on here before, but this one basically, it actually has quite a few different elements into it, and it is a historical fiction as well. So it's set in 1873. 1873, when the ambitious Dr. Paul Clement takes a job on the island of Saint Sebastian, he has dreams of finding cures for tropical diseases. After witnessing the ritualistic murder of a young boy who was allegedly already deceased, he is warned never to speak of what he has seen. Back in Paris, Paul's attentions turn to studying the nervous system and resuscitation through electricity. So what are those things called? Those paddles? Clear paddles. He's working on inventing that. Paul is told of patients who have apparently died, been brought back to life, and while they lay between life and death, witnessed what they believe to be heaven itself. Using forbidden knowledge he swore never to use, he attempts to experience what everyone else has seen. But something goes horribly wrong. When Paul returns to the land of the living, it is possible that he brings something else back with him, an unspeakable evil so powerful it can never be banished. So this actually does lack a bit of information on the synopsis. So basically, if we go back to what it said in the beginning about him witnessing the ritualistic murder of this young boy, basically he is told when he leaves the island that if he ever says anything about this to anyone, that when he dies, he's going to go to hell, basically. Of course, it's years later when he gets back, from this trip, and he ends up telling a good friend what he had saw years before. And he doesn't really think anything of it. It's been years and years and years, and they are miles and miles and miles away. But then when he goes on to test out this defibrillator, that's what it's called. When he goes, oh, sorry, you guys, my dog just walked into my camera. When he goes to test out this defibrillator on himself, he of course dies and is wanting to be brought back to life. And when he dies, he does in fact go to hell, and it appears that he brings something back with him. So this one's super spooky. It has a lot of different layers to it as well, and I really enjoyed this one. I think you guys would too. Next is The Woman in the Walls by Amy Lukovics, and Amy Lukovics is a really great writer. She writes a lot of horror, and a lot of her stuff is really, really well done. But it says, do you hear them calling? Lucy Acosta's mother died when she was 3. Growing up in a Victorian mansion in the middle of the woods with her cold, distant father, she explored the dark hallways of the estate with her cousin Margaret. They're inseparable, a family. When her Aunt Penelope, the only mother she has ever known, tragically disappears while walking in the woods surrounding their estate, Lucy finds herself devastated and alone. Margaret has been spending a lot of time in the attic. She claims she can hear her dead mother's voice whispering from the walls. Emotionally shut out by her father, Lucy watches helplessly as her cousin's sanity slowly unravels. Now my dog's playing with her toy, so this is great. Can you stop? Can you please? But when she begins hearing voices herself, Lucy finds herself confronting an ancient and deadly legacy that has marked the women in her family for generations. I am sorry. Here I'm trying to read this spooky synopsis, and then we just got squeaking going in the background. I'm sorry. So if you know me, you know that I love a haunted house story. So any sort of creepy things to do with a haunted house, especially an ancient mansion, I am all about that. So this one is another historical fiction, and it's called White Crow by Marcus Sedgwick. And it says, supposing you wanted to prove something important. Supposing you wanted to prove, for argument's sake, that there is life after death. 1789, 10 months, 6 days. I believe he intends to practice some unholy rite, a summoning, a conjuration, a thing of magic. 2 lives, 2 centuries apart. But they walked the same paths, lived in the same house, became obsessed by the same question. When city girl Rebecca steps into the quiet streets of Winterfold that relentlessly hot summer, her uneasy friendship with strange Ellen Fairleth sets in motion a shocking chain of events. It's quite a horrible story. I love it. So this does not give a lot of information on the book, but basically it kind of goes between 2 perspectives. So like I said, it's centuries apart. So basically centuries ago, something happened in this small town that now, years and years later, this girl is finding out about. But it's centuries later, and this girl moves to this small town. She's living in the same place, the same house as this character that we're reading about from before. And she starts to realize something strange has happened here years ago. So it's very, very spooky. It's very atmospheric. This would be a great read for Halloween season. And it's very mysterious. So definitely I would give this one a read as well. It's very, very spooky. Anyways, you guys, that is going to do it for me today. My dog is still playing with her stuff, so I'm going to get off here. Let me know in the comments down below if you've heard of any of these books or if you've read any of them and what your thoughts on them were. Alternatively, please let me know if you have found any that you think you would like and that you're going to give a try because you saw this video. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Please go ahead and subscribe on the way out if you haven't already done so, if you do enjoy the content. I hope you guys are having a great day, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!